Welcome to the Ideal Investor Show. This is the podcast where we help you challenge your mindset and discover where you are. Tired of stories about other people's success? We can help you change your life, determine your time freedom point, and join us on the journey to financial success. Let's go. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ideal Investor Show. And today I want to talk a little bit about some of the things I've heard and seen in the media recently regarding what can be done to allow more people to get into home ownership. And so there are different suggestions out there. Some people say, okay, we should require any developer to designate a certain number of units, whether it's houses or apartments or condos or something like that, as designated for first-time home buyers, and then basically have some special pricing or stuff like that on it. Another suggestion I've read is that there might be a program that could be brought up where the government would give somebody who qualifies as a first-time home buyer for like a certain amount of money in support of a down payment, something like $10,000, $20,000, $25,000. So the question is, what would actually happen if something like that, like, you would get extra money if you can prove that you never have been a home buyer before to help you get into home ownership. And I want to bring this out because this will also be impacting us as investors, because just as much as the open market for residential real estate will be affected, we as investors who buy properties from that market would be affected too. And what I think is going to happen is, the first thing, if you really ask yourself, how does the process work? Regardless whether you're an investor and you want to buy a single family home as an investment property to rent out, or if you buy it for yourself, one of the core qualifying criteria is always, how trustworthy are you as a person when it comes to money and paying your bills and paying your credit card and all that kind of stuff. And the way we actually determine the trustworthiness in most cases for lending, and interestingly enough, by the way, even if you do a DSCR loan as an investor, where it's really ultimately a matter of how well does the property perform, the ratio of the cost of the mortgage versus the rent, they still run your credit score. So what I think is going to happen is, if you think about first-time home buyers, the issue will be that the assumption is that they're not as dependable as somebody who has had a job for 20 years and has a high credit score and stuff like that. So if you take an example scenario, and normally to get a loan for a certain property that you would want to buy requires a score of, let's say, 680, I believe if these kind of distortions of the market are introduced, where the government says we give everybody who is a first-time home buyer $25,000, then the lending institutions who have to actually do the mortgage are going to say, well, 680 is not good enough anymore. We're going to increase it to 725, 730, or whatever the number might be. Why? Because people with a higher credit score have demonstrated that they are more dependable in making their payments. That's one thing. The other thing is, if everybody who sells a house knows that the first-time home buyers are now walking through the neighborhood looking for houses and they already have $25,000 in their pocket, guess what's going to happen to the prices? Whenever possible, for any suitable properties that first-time home buyers would be interested in, it is almost assured that the market will react with an increase of 10, 15, 20, even up to $25,000, right? And I believe what is important for any of these measures, and that's why I use the term market distortion, is when somebody forces something into the market. The way they typically argue is that they say, well, the market has been doing such and such. Like right now, the argument is the market has gotten more and more expensive, and that means on the flip side, it is less and less affordable for regular people and first-time home buyers to get a house. That's true. Now, if you say, well, if I give somebody $25,000 so they can easier buy a house, it's under the assumption that the market is just going to sit there and say, oh, that's so nice. You gave them $25,000. We're not going to do anything. Everything will be the same as yesterday. But the reality is, it's not going to be the same. The reality is the market is an ever-changing, ever-adopting mechanism. And if you change something in the incoming data, in the amount of money that's available to certain people, then the market is going to react. And my prediction is if you give people $25,000, then the market is going to say, well, then they can actually afford a higher priced home. At least the market is going to try. So as you can probably tell, I'm not a big fan of these mechanisms. I think it would be way, 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 way better if any money that the government would want to spend is being spent on financial and money education in high school and in early stages college and in grade school and everywhere people get fundamental training for life or learning for life. Financial education should be part of it. So if somebody were to say, maybe not $25,000, but we will make financial education courses mandatory, but they lead to a slight reduction in the tuition that you have to pay for your degree, that would be something. Because then people can learn better behaviors for themselves, learn what to do to set themselves up for early retirement, investing in gold, investing in real estate, investing in all kinds of things, so they don't need the government anymore. I think that would be money much better spent, and let the market be the market. Educate people so they can participate in the market, but don't distort the market and just assume it's going to sit there and do nothing. So that's my view. I would be very interested to hear what your view is and talk about what your view is with you. If you go to idealinvestorshow.com and you find a button to book a call and let's have that conversation, or give a rating to this episode, download it, and give a rating to the show, and everything would be much appreciated where you engage with us. And by doing that, you're also helping the show, and we can keep providing you with good content. So that's it for today. Be well and stay safe, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.